something a little different that we really haven't seen, but going back to intermediate algebra, you would have seen this. And the first thing I see here is, okay, so what I notice here is that I've got a factor of x in each and every term. And before we start to factor any quadratic or any polynomial, I'll say in general, because this is not a quadratic, you look to see if you can factor out our greatest common factor. It's like reducing the lowest term. So I'm going to factor out an x here, leaving me x squared minus x minus 56 equal to 0. So if this term times this polynomial equals 0, either x equals 0, which gives you one answer, or x squared minus x minus 56 equals 0. Now this guy here I can actually factor. I'm going to draw my parenthesis. I've got an x and an x. This is a negative, so my signs are unlike. Factors of 56 are 8 and 7. I'm going to go with a negative 8 and a positive 7. That would give me a minus 1 in the middle. And then if the product of these two equals 0, then either x plus 7 equals 0, which implies x is equal to a negative 7, or the other binomial x minus 8 equals 0, which implies that x is equal to a positive 8. So there are your three answers. Now, going into this, the third answer, it's a third degree equation, which implies you get at most three solutions. Now, here's a case where we get three different solutions, letter A, and they're all unique. It could be a situation where you could have three answers and two of them be the same. Conceivably, you could have three answers because it's a third degree equation, and all three of them be the same. But here we've got three unique answers, and that's how you do a third degree. All right, number 18, and you've got a quadratic and the asterisk to factor. Before I were to, go right into the quadratic formula, I'm going to give this a look-see, and to see if I can just factor this the way you've been factoring everything since 8th grade algebra. Get an x and an x. This is a positive. Signs are the same. You look here. They're the same, all right. They're both negative. I'm going to go with a 3-7 combination. And that will give me a minus 3x and a minus 7x. Minus 3 and minus 7 would give me a minus 10 in the middle. So either x minus 3 equals 0, or the other term, x minus 7 equals 0, giving you two answers, x equal to 3, or x is equal to a positive 7, and you see that is letter C. Number 19, what gives you a hint that you're going to have to use the quadratic formula is, as I look at answers, letter B, C, and D, they all contain the letter I. That's a tip-off that, 3 out of the 4 answers contain the letter I, then chances are you won't be able to factor it like we just did the previous one. You're going to have to use the quadratic formula. Or if you've programmed this into your calculator, it makes life a little bit easier since these are all integers, no fractions. But in any case, you got x squared plus 6x plus 25 equals 0. I can't factor that. There are no factors of 25. They give me 6 in the middle. So quadratic formula, the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of this over 2a. So in our example, a is equal to 1, b is equal to 6, and c is 25. So the opposite of b, the opposite of positive 6 is negative 6, plus or minus the square root. B is 6, b squared is 36, minus 4 times a times c. A times c is 25. All of this over twice. A is 1, twice a is 2. So we get a negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 100, which is a negative 64. All of this divided by 2. So I'm going to rewrite this as negative 6 plus or minus. Now 64 is a perfect square, but I'm going to write this as the square root of 64 times the square root of negative 1 over 2. negative 6 plus or minus 8. Square root of negative 1 by definition is the letter I. This divided by 2. Now, in the numerator, I can see that 2 is a factor of both these terms. I'm going to factor out a 2, leaving me minus 3 plus or minus 4i. All this divided by 2. And I can cancel out the 2. So there I have it, minus 3 minus 4i, minus 3 minus 4i, and minus 3 plus 4i. That's the way the answer is written, letter C. All right, number 20. I'm not going to give you one like this, but I'm going to actually do it. All right, we didn't cover this. We covered absolute values, but I think we'd do it absolute values as it relate to inequalities. If the thing within the absolute value is less than 14, means that this thing is less than 14 units away from the origin. So what happens is the thing inside of the absolute value lies between negative 14 and positive 14. It's less than 14 units away. So I'll start off by subtracting 16 every which way I can. This is minus 30. The 16s cancel out. And let's see, I subtract 14 minus 16. That's going to be a minus 2. So that's how you would do it if I was going to give you, which I won't because I didn't cover this, so it wouldn't be fair to hold you responsible for this. This is letter C. I think I can fit one more on here. Number 21. I won't give you one like this either. Here's the deal, though. If you were going to solve this, you could graph this. And when you graph it, you'd be down here at negative 9. This thing, the parabola, would go between positive and negative 3. Where is this curve bigger than 0? Where is it above the x-axis? For all values that x value is bigger than 3, or for all values of x that are less than negative 3, here and there. And that would be x less than negative 3 or x greater than positive 3. So there'd be an or statement here, but I won't hold you responsible, but I just wanted to show you that that was no big deal. Number 22. Which one of these is not an odd function? Recall that an odd function is symmetric about the origin. And the only one that's not symmetric around the origin is letter C. It's symmetric to the y-axis. So letter C is the one that is not. Repeat, not an odd function. In actuality, it's an even function. All right, number 23. Here we go with those circles again. You guys will be professionals when it comes to figuring out the center of a circle. This one is pretty neat here because he writes in standard form, but notice you got a minus sign here and a minus sign there. All right, the H and K come after minus signs. Well, guess what? You got minus signs in both of these. So my H value is 4 and my K value is 1. Now 16 represents the radius squared. If radius squared is 16, then R is obviously 4. So I'm looking at letter A because the center is at 4, 1. Here you go, 4, 1. HK, X and Y are the center of the circle. Well, they don't call it H and X and Y is because not to confuse things with this X and that Y. Here's your center, 4, 1, letter A. Number 24. Find f of negative 9 when f of x is equal to the absolute value of x minus 6. So in place of x, I'm going to substitute negative 9. So we have here the absolute value of negative 9 minus 6, which is equal to 9 minus 6. The absolute value of minus 9 is 9. 9 minus 6 is the letter C. The answer is 3, which is letter C. All right, 25. 25, what do we got? Yeah, 25, working with these functions, the algebra functions, what it's called. F of x is given to us as 3 minus 4x, and g of x is equal to minus 9x plus 4. Now, of course, you could put this into the calculator, but what's the big deal here? He's asking me to find f plus g. F plus g. In fact, I'll write this as f plus g of x, which tells me this is f of x. The f of x function added with the g of x function. So I can take these two and just add them together, combine like terms. There's my f of x function added with my g of x function. Combining, let's see, a minus 4x and a minus 9x is a minus 13x. 3 plus 4 more is 7. All right, minus 13x plus 7. I mean, why put that in the calculator? You can just do it. I mean, up to you. The calculator would do it, but not a big deal to do it pencil and paper. Number 26, we're told that f of x is equal to 2 plus 5x. G of x equal to, let's see, 26. G of x equal to minus 3x plus 4. 2 plus 5x minus 3x plus 4, okay. So he's asking me to find f plus g of 1, which translates to f of 1 plus g of 1. Take the f function and substitute in place of x, substitute 1. So this becomes 2 plus 5 times x. X is 1 plus g of 1. Let's see, this is a minus, g function says it's a minus 3 times whatever x is. X is 1 plus 4 more. So this is 2 plus 5 times 1. 2 plus 5 is 7. Let's see, a minus 3 times 1 is a minus 3 plus 4 more. Well, that just simplifies to 1. And then 7 plus 26. 7 plus 1. And what happened? Oh, I know. Pays to read. All right, so this could happen to you just as well as me because I can't read as well as you can. It's f of negative 1. So it happens, boys and girls. Copied it wrong. Copied it wrong. So this is f of negative 1 plus g of negative 1. Substituting negative 1 into the f function, this becomes 2 plus 5 times negative 1. Added with the g function says it's a negative 3. Put that in brackets. Negative 3 times a negative 1 plus 4 more. So this becomes 2 minus 5, which is a negative 3, added with, let's see, this is a positive 3 plus 4 more. It's going to be a positive 7. Minus 3 and a positive 7. It helps if you put in the right value, which I didn't. My bad. Apologize. 27. He's asking us to subtract these two functions. He tells me f of x is 4x minus 5. And he tells me that g of x is equal to 2x minus 4. What does he want me to do? Take the f function, subtract the g function. Alright, so this is the f function. Subtract, and make sure you put the g function in brackets or parentheses because you know that the minus sign here affects the terms within the bracket or the parentheses. Alright, that's the minus sign. It becomes a minus 2x. A minus times a minus makes this a positive. Combining your x terms, you get 4x minus 2x, and it's 2x. A minus 5 and a positive 4 is a negative 1. Therefore, we got the right answer, and it's letter C. I'm going to stop it right there. Here again, I'm trying to avoid the situation we have. My pen is way ahead of my voice. Of course, it didn't help that I botched number 26, but it happens. Gotta read. I see it now as negative 1, but that's, really what you do when you get a solution. The answer is not there. Worst case scenario, if the answer was there, then you're really up the creek. But if your answer is not there, the first thing you do is go back and make sure you copied the problem down right. Now, I like to say I did that on purpose, but no, I didn't. I just made a mistake. So, alrighty.